The histological differentiation of ovaries proceeds in this way. The epithelium of the dorsal body wall of the coelom cavity forms a second generation of cortical trabecules, cords, and the cells these cortical cords are splitting and forming cells that will surround the gonocytes that have migrated into the primordium of the ovary. And these epithelial cells will be arranged around the oogonia to form a primordial ovarian follicle. Actually, millions of these. So we got the proliferation here of, let us say, second wave or generation of cortical epithelial cords. The cells of which will become the follicular cells, at first as one layer of squamous cells, so a simple squamous layer of follicular cells surrounding the oogonia, and the oogonia surrounded by follicular cells already makes a follicle. In this case, a primordial ovarian follicle. Approximately 4 to 7 millions of these follicles are formed in the embryonic cortex of the ovary, but the fate of most of these is they will disappear, which is called atresia. Only a small fraction will be activated during the reproduction life, so between the puberty and the menopause, and they will join further development, being accelerated by the follicular stimulating hormone. But that's another story. The ovary will therefore contain in its cortex many ovarian follicles, and we got the Mullerian duct opening here in the vicinity of the ovary. We know that the right and left Mullerian ducts, they meet in the midline. So here will be the right one, etc. I'm drawing only one and a half. While the mesonephros, with its mesonephric duct, will be reduced, it will disappear. Yeah. That'll be the same on the other side. So there are follicles in the ovarian cortex. This is the paramesonephric or Mullerian duct. Sorry, different spelling. Paramesonephric, also known as the Mullerian duct. This is the mesonephros. The mesonephros will be completely reduced in female, and so will the mesonephric duct. This will disappear as well. Sometimes the mesonephros might form small residuals called epitehlial or paramesonephric. These are residuals in the mesovarium. They have no functional meaning as far as we know, and they are mostly not present. But the mesonephric duct might persist in some individuals as the Gardnerian duct, or the Gardner's duct. It's a small duct in the lateral wall of the uterus and vagina. Again, it's an irregular structure only present in some individuals. Mostly the mesonephric duct disappears. Now the ovary also descends into the small pelvis. Together with the paramesonephric duct. The Müllerian ducts will become the oviducts, they will meet in the midline. Sometimes there is a temporary septum here, but the common part will form the uterus. There might be a septum here. And otherwise, here was the cloaca, right? We already know that from the scheme on the indifferent stage. Now they will join the urogenital sinus, which is the former anterior part of the cloaca. And the urogenital sinus proliferates here on the side of the contact. So this will become the uterine tube. This will be the uterus with the temporary uterine septum, which reminds us of the fact that the left and right Müllerian duct are fusing, and this is the urogenital sinus space. As you might recall, the urogenital sinus is lined with the endoderm, while this is from the mesoderm, right? Because it's from the paramesonephric duct. On the next scheme, we will see the oviducts, the growing body of the uterus, cavity inside. Now the upper part of the future vagina originates still from the Müllerian ducts, but here the endoderm of the urogenital sinus proliferates and makes a lumen inside. And here is the former border of the urogenital sinus. These are proliferating sino-vaginal bulbs. They develop a lumen, so there is a luminization here. First they are more or less solid. They become luminized. This will be the caudal tip of the former paramesonephric duct with the blue color. And as a result, we got the oviducts, the fundus of the uterus, the body, the cervix, the uterine cavity, the fornix of the vagina, but the rest of the vagina originated from this urogenital sinus. And the former border to the urogenital sinus persists as the hymen. The urogenital sinus itself becomes the vestibulum of the vagina. So let us say the cranial, approximately 1/3 of vagina, originates from the paramesonephric ducts. While the caudal, approximately 2/3 of vagina, are formed from the urogenital sinus. And this is the hymen. That's how it originates. When the ovary descends into the small pelvis, I go back, while it also has a gubernaculum, but not as extensive as the testes have. But it then turns to the proper ovarian ligament, and the ligament, the teres ligament of the uterus. So what develops from the paramesonephric ducts, the uterine tubes, the uterus, and the upper part of vagina. One more terminological correction. The gubernaculum, the proper anatomical names of these ligaments that develop from the gubernaculum of the ovary as the ovaries descend, is called the ligament of the ovary proper and the round ligament of the uterus. while the genital ligament that attaches temporarily the ovary to the body wall becomes the suspensory ligament of the ovary.